During a site inspection earlier today, I noticed that one of my engineers had a swollen face. I asked him what happened and he said a group of Fulani boys attacked him and dispossessed him of his handset somewhere in the Kubwa area of Abuja. If not for a good Samaritan who stopped his car for him to jump in, he would probably have been killed. The look of helplessness and despondency on his face as he recounted his near-death experience resonated with me, as I have been feeling this way for weeks now. I wake up every day pondering my options in a country that's imploding. I can't remember the last time I had 4 hours of sleep in a day. If it's not my problems weighing me down, it is the problems of others who seem to think I have a solution. How did we get to this point where our collective miseries have overcast our skies? How did life become so cheap in Nigeria? Why are our streets overflowing with the blood of the innocent while our government looks on nonchalantly? Who or what has emboldened foreign terrorists to take over our lands and slaughter us like cattle? Sometimes I think I have become immune or desensitized to the bad news until something happens. Then I start having a mixed bag of emotions ranging from anger, sadness, indignation, and it always ends with that feeling of helplessness. All around me, people are leaving the country in droves. Others move around with their international passports in their pockets so that they can run to the nearest border when the mayhem starts. A wicked Pharaoh rules over us and we are in trouble. And it came to pass in process of time that the king of Egypt died and the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage. And they cried, and their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage. And God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them. The tragedy of the Israelites in Egypt is akin to ours now. They were under bondage just as we are, and they looked on helplessly just as we do. Then Pharaoh died, and they realized they had reached their breaking point as another Pharaoh took over to continue ministering wickedness to the Israelites. Do you realize that this is our situation? This Pharaoh that rules over Nigeria will surely die. That is not the issue, as all men must die at some point. The problem is that another Pharaoh is waiting to take over, so our suffering continues. Why did the Israelites wait till Pharaoh died to start crying to God? Their patriarchs had a covenant with God and they knew it. So why was the death of Pharaoh their breaking point? Why didn't they call on God sooner? Why are we so helpless in the face of this government? Why do we continue suffering and smiling? How much more pain can we take before we call on God? What is our breaking point? Do they have to kill a family member before you reach your breaking point? Does Pharaoh have to die first and you realize they have scammed you again with the next president before you start crying to God? Let me tell you why it took so long for the Israelites to reach their breaking point. They were like Nigerians. God had blessed their forefathers and they took the blessings for granted. They prospered in Egypt just the way we have prospered here. And as the suffering started, some still prospered. So those who were suffering kept on saying, "It go better. As long as it is okay for the next man, my turn will soon come." Those who suffered were left to suffer on their own. Those who prospered were left to prosper on their own. Selfish suffering, selfish prospering. Their burdens were not collectively shared. Then the situation got worse. The weak became weaker, the poor became poorer, and the rich became poor. Then Pharaoh died, and just as they thought their bondage was over, they saw that APC was still in power. Just as they thought things were going to get better, they saw PDP still in power. Then they all broke down and started crying unto God. That was their breaking point, when they remembered God. Your breaking point is when you remember God. We know of Him, we hear of Him, we talk about Him, but we don't want to know Him. We share jokes, but we won't share God. We are so far from God, and most don't even want to hear God. How can he who has a covenant with God feel helpless? The Israelites could have shortened their years of bondage if they remembered God sooner, just the way we can reduce our years of bondage if we all remember God sooner. Today should be our breaking point and not tomorrow. Rich and poor must feel the same pain. We must all share our burdens and sorrows together. That is the only way we can make today our breaking point. If I can feel the pain of my engineer the way he did, if we can all feel the pain of the widows, fatherless, and orphans across Nigeria who have lost loved ones to these murderers, if we can all share in the pain of the sick, poor, homeless, and destitute, then we will remember Yahweh. Then we will reach our breaking point. Then God will remember His covenant with His people. Then our freedom will come. God bless you all.